a passionate instigator and dynamic problem solver. Dr. Kevin Ross Emery, the host of the Dr. Kevin Radio Show, will be taking you outside the box, behind the curtain, and identifying the load of BS we are fed every day. And now, Dr. Kevin.
Hello, and welcome to the Dr. Kevin Show, where we're challenging everything and everyone here on OMTimes Radio, where we're changing the world one ohm at a time. So I want to welcome you this week. Today's show is actually coming from Lewiston, Maine. Last week we were in Stratham, New Hampshire. The week before, and the whole summer, we were in England. And if you want to know where we're going to be next week, you're going to have to tune in, because I can't tell you where I'm going to be next week. Next week is too far away. If you want to be part of the dialogue, then come to facebook.com/ my Dr. Kevin, MYDRKEVIN. That is facebook.com / my Dr. Kevin. There you will see a picture of today's guest, a write-up on them, and there'll be a place where you can comment. I will be checking for your comments and questions all show long. If you want to be part of this dialogue, if you want to show up, because the only way that you make change in the world is to show up, to speak out, to stand out, to take an action. And the action I invite you to do right now is to come to facebook.com / my Dr. Kevin. If you haven't liked my page, like it, and then be prepared to ask your questions and your comments for today's guest. That's why they're here. They're here to talk to you. And with your absence, they get to talk to me. And let me tell you, they'd rather talk to you. So starting right out, what we're going to do is we're going to take, as we always do, we're going to talk about today's hot topic. And as you know, my hot topic is always something that gets me either hot under the collar or makes me feel warm and fuzzy. Today, we got a hot under the collar. Today's hot under the collar has to be about a couple of things that I actually posted on my social media this week. If you don't follow my social media, you can do so at any of the social medias that I'm involved with at my Dr. Kevin, MYDRKEVIN. And this week in my social media, there were two things that were up that were kind of related. One was about the varying cost that the same pill in Canada for $30 costs $360 here in the United States. How come we're getting gouged by the pharmaceutical companies? On the other hand, we had somebody that took a pill that was $62 a pill. That's been around for a long time, but is a crucial pill in a few different major illnesses. And one company bought it from another company, another drug pharmaceutical, and they announced they were going to do a rate hike from $62 a pill to $750 a pill. Now, this pill is mandatory for certain kinds of health issues as being the most successful with the least amount of side effects, and they were raising it to make more money. No other reason, make more money. Basically because they could. They have since backed away from raising it so outrageously because there was such a backlash. But one of the most subsidized industries in America is the pharmaceutical industry. The pharmaceutical industry gets tax breaks, tax credits. They get all sorts of things because for research and things like this. But if you look carefully, the money that they spend between lobbying, the number one lobbyist in Washington is the pharmaceutical industry, between lobbyists and between their advertising dollars, they spend more money on that than research, yet we give them millions of dollars of tax breaks and support so they can gouge us, so they can sell a pill in Canada for $30 and here for $360. So that's my hot topic. Today's guest is Stephen Hersey. Stephen is known as Dr. Fitness USA. He's an international body designer. And I can't wait to talk to him because I just think of, I'm giving him lots to work with. There should be a lot he should be able to design from this body. Owner and founder of the International Institute of Body Design. He holds the prestigious title Professor de Culture Physique wielder and is certified by the IFBB, International Federation of Bodybuilding. You can find out more about Stephen at or Dr. Fitness USA at facebook.com/Dr. Fitness USA, or come right now, facebook.com/my Dr. Kevin. You'll have his links, you'll have his face, you'll have his full write-up. But right now, let's welcome him on. Dr. Fitness, are you there?
I sure am. It's great to be on your show.
Well, it's great to have you there. What would you like me to call you? Stephen? Dr. Fitness?
You can call me Doc.
Okay.
People always like that authoritative figure. You know, if I say it's Stephen, then they don't really remember you. If I say it's Dr. Fitness USA, they kind of light up, even though they just like that sort of presence, or they like to know that they're talking to a specialist in the field that I'm involved in, which is better health.
Okay. So Doc, and as you know, because obviously we've sat and we have chatted over coffee before, in Vegas, I believe. Yeah, it was in Vegas. So what do you think about the thing with the drug companies? How come we're letting them gouge us? And what are we going to do? Why do they own Washington? What do you think? What's your thoughts?
Well, sure it's outrageous, but I don't know the steps that could change the power of such big companies that deal in billions of dollars and have great influence in the country USA.
Is it time? I mean, if you were going to come up with any kind of solution, I know I'm throwing this at you, and all my guests go through this in the first segment because they never know what's coming at them. Sometimes until I say, welcome to the Dr. Kevin Show, I don't know what's coming at them. So, you know, if you could wave a magic wand, what would we do? What can we do? Do we need to change Washington? Do we need to change laws? Do we need to, I don't know. I mean, do we need to go back and become part of England again? What do you think?
I think they should have a ceiling cap on how much they can charge for a pill. In other words, put some muscle behind it and put a stopping point as to how the pill can escalate to such a vast cost, but keep it at a standard sum of money. Just like a quarter is worth a quarter, $1 is worth $1, this pill is worth $6, and have it regulated so that people can't be digging in their pockets and taking care of their own needs rather than the people that actually need the pill to live.
Well, you know, there's a lot. I mean, things like this really pushes the idea more towards socialized medicine. When the getting a few extra shekels to the stockholders or adding an extra zero on the CEO's bonus is more important than saving people's lives. I mean, at some point, the madness has to stop. So
I'm on your side, but give me the steps to take the action to do so.
Well, I think the first thing is, I mean, I'm gonna throw out a couple that, I mean, and I've thrown them out before, but one of the things is we need to change the way Washington runs. And in today's day and age with social media and with the way, I mean, like the country of Egypt got overthrown through social media. I mean, we actually can force our legislatures through petitions done on social media to talk about things that they dodge because they don't want to bite the hand that bribes them. So if we all take our following, I mean, you've got people that follow you on Dr. Fitness USA. I've got people that follow me. We all know people that agree with us. If we get them all to actually rally and say, you know, this isn't about political parties. This is about changing the laws so that corruption can't happen so easily.
You're right. But the afterthought is if people were healthier, there would be less need for the pills.
Oh, well, and I'm all over that. I'm not a big fan of pills anyways. and I know that you're not as well. How much do you think today's common illnesses could be affected if people just simply started doing a better fitness program?
Oh, they would improve 100%. Because when people think about exercise, they think about diet, aerobics, kind of on a physical realm. They're not understanding that when they work out, they also affect their nervous system. They affect their internal organs. They can stop the cancerous cells from activating because of an overload on their stress system. They can avoid a lot of diseases because the fat accumulation between their cells is not there. They can stop having diabetes. A lot of things could escalate if they got an education that physical exercise is a lot bigger than somebody lifting a couple of dumbbells.
Well, yeah, and the way that the popular thought process goes is only dumbbells lift dumbbells.
Well, the fitness industry is $1 billion industry. The last Mr. Olympia, the prize money was $400,000 to the winner, so that's getting attention. But bodybuilding, in a sense, still has a bad name. If you walk up to a woman that's doing yoga, she'll probably cringe at the thought of lifting any weights. There's a lot of bad publicity because of the images that are portrayed about people with excessive muscle, et cetera, et cetera. And Dr. Fitness USA is about education process and to be involved specifically in strength training as a specialty that is really concerned about a person being a healthier person.
Okay, that's
and even a better person and a better person in their relationship.
I'm going to go on break. I have no control over it. We'll be back in a minute. Dr. Fitness.
Feed your soul with waves of consciousness on OMTimes Radio.
Hi, this is Julie Geigel.
I'm Maggie Chula.
And I'm Catherine Glass.
And we're the Psychic Angel Channelers. Join us every week here on OMTimes Radio for Angel Talk Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time.
The angels have heard your call and are here to help.
Are you ready to receive?
Remember your magnificence with Angel Talk Tuesday.
What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business. And share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Eros Evolution is where sexuality and spirituality meets. Join me, clinical sexologist Martha Tara Lee, on Eros Evolution on Thursdays, 4 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
The Real Conscious Connection. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show, where we challenge everything and everyone here on OMTimes Radio, where we're changing the world one ohm at a time. Today's guest, Stephen Hersey, is known as Dr. Fitness USA. He is on the board of directors of Endo Positive International, a global organization that provides alternative health choices to over 175 million women worldwide. He's also a published author of several books and a recognized professional empowerment speaker as a pioneer for his successful work with pain management and postural realignment, which affects mood behavior and productivity. You can find out more about Dr. Fitness USA at facebook.com/Dr. Fitness USA. Also, if you want to come to facebook.com/MyDrKevin, stop, hit that little like button, give me a little smiley, and then come down. You can see Stephen's picture, his full write-up. You can leave comments. You can ask questions. We love to hear from you. Remember, you can't make a difference in the world by sitting on the couch, keeping your mouth shut, and just punching in those buttons on the remote control. You got to stand up, speak out, and make a change. So, as always, here in our first guest-centered segment, we ask our question, where do you want to take our listeners outside of the box, Doc? Where do you want to stretch their comfort zones? What is something that you think that they just don't really understand? The question
they
is,
don't really understand what physical fitness is. The statistics is that 5 million people die from not exercising each year. So that's 1 in 10 people will die because of inactivity. So there's a big explanation as to why work out. Okay, so somebody thinks about why working out, why not working out? And the second question would be, what would be the tool that I would use or someone would use to actually be healthier in their body? So the tagline for Dr. Fitness USA is 20 to 50% stronger in 20 minutes, not a day, in 20 minutes. So in 20 minutes, we can impact a person's life by getting the person out of their intellectual mind and back into their body so that they can control their nervous system and feel comfortable and make better choices in their life.
okay, so what you're saying is that people have an incorrect idea of what fitness is and fitness isn't. And that, one of the things I tell all my guests is we really want to stick as much with information as possible. And I want people to really walk away here with their head spinning with thoughts, not promos. So from that, you say 20 minutes a day is really 20 minutes of focused work a day is all somebody would need to do to get and stay in good physical health?
Well, there'll be a little correction here. Coming straight from the doc. Controversial, it's 20 minutes in the first session. It's not 20 minutes a day. The 20 minutes in the first session is sustainable for 2 or 3 weeks. That means you can go into the gym, increase your strength 20 to 50%, and that strength will stay with you for 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
There's no of this nonsense of working out 3 to 4 times a day and doing all this aerobic activity, which results in a schizophrenic type of brain pattern. A person needs to understand that as the body changes or through the ages, they need a blueprint or a plan of action of what they would do in an environment like a gym. So there's 3 aspects for a person being successful. One is a mindset, that's somebody that actually wants to be healthier. 2, which is overlooked, is environment. How many people walk into a shoe store and then walk out because they don't have the right pair of shoes? Now, what's interesting is when somebody walks into a gym, they go, oh, it's fully equipped. Well, what does that mean? They might not have your size or shape or fit. Is it an environment that has a couple of balls and stretch bands where the trainer is going to tell you he's going to whip you into shape? So environment is really crucial. And then third, the person actually needs a business plan of what they're going to do when they get into the gym. How are they going to adjust the machine so that's ergonomically comfortable to their body, like a comfortable pair of shoes, so they don't pinch their feet or slip and slide. There's a lot of aspects to putting a program together. So as a designer, it takes me about 6 weeks to actually create a business plan of action. And I come out with that idea because we actually take photographs, just like a chiropractor would, and we can see where the imbalances is in the body. Do they have forward head positioning? Do they have lower back issues? So talking in a sense of, so a layperson can understand, when I come in curvature calves, but as I go through time, their upper body changes shape. It kind of goes into a rounded position like the hunchback of Notre Dame. Ultra thin. In both cases, they assume that all they have to do is do a couple of exercises or lose some weight. They don't understand that upper body could be totally redesigned, just like you do your house or your car or whatever it is that you're thinking of, designer, and create an upper body that matches the lower body. So when people hire a personal trainer, they don't really understand what a personal trainer does. A personal trainer works you out. But when the person shows up, they're obviously going to explain to them that they want a certain shape or a certain weight. This is a total myth. It's never going to happen. It takes about 800 hours for a person to work at their body over time or years to get to that level of freedom. So working out with a trainer 2 or 3 times a week is just actually, for most people, the trainer is stealing the people's money.
Okay. So
when I hire a trainer to...
Okay. But,
go ahead.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. Because...
You may challenge me on this.
Yeah, well... listeners are bringing in everything that they're saying. And so you're trying to completely change what they think about something. And I'm not saying you're right or you're wrong, but what I am saying is that I think we need to break this up into a little bit more chunks. This needs to be a little bit more conversational, because if you tell people too much all at once, they're going to give you the blind stare. They're just going to go glazed at a point. So let's really focus that for this part of outside the box, what we want people to understand is they need to make and I want to make sure I'm hearing you correctly, so you can correct me if I've got it wrong. They need to make some core changes in their relationship with their body and how they're using it that is going to help them get, quote unquote, the body they want through just their normal activity, because they have changed their relationship, and not just emotionally, but physically change the relationship, change how they're doing things. Am I on track or am I way off track?
You're 100% on track, but they do need a business plan, a script. So what that looks like, very often if I'm in the gym, I'm asking, could be a male or a female, where's your script? And yet they look at me with a blind eye saying, oh, I don't have one. Well, as you know, when you're creating a video or a movie or a scene, when you review it over and over again, you can or even writing a book, you can create a better understanding what's going on when you visually review the text or the pictures or the video. So when you have something written down in your hand, you can do better if you review it at the end of the day or at the end of the week. So if somebody was with a personal trainer, you'd be surprised if the person said to the trainer, can I have my script so I can review it at night? No, trainers don't do that. What they do is they don't even give you their routine. What they do is they create a routine that incorporates aerobics, stretching, core training, which has nothing to do with changing the shape of your body or creating better posture in the body. In fact, most of the exercise will probably strengthen your body in the wrong place or make your posture worse.
Okay. So we've got about 90 seconds before we're going to hear the music, and we're going to be going on to another break. So when somebody does, like I just spent the whole summer working out at a gym in England. And so I worked with a trainer just once who wrote me. We went through, we talked about, kind of what my goals were and whatever he needed to know. And this is somebody I've known for over a dozen years now, and I work with him when I go back to England. We only worked together once, but what he gave me was like what I needed to do. And then I was done with him. I just did it all on my own at that point. Now, you're saying when you say a business plan or a script, is that something, and you're probably going to have to answer this question when we get back from break, but is that different than what I'm talking about? I mean, he gave me a fitness plan, not necessarily a business plan. And I think when we get back, I'd like you to describe what the difference is. And I'm more than happy to share with you what mine said. I mean, if you want to be able to let my people, because a lot of people I know that go to the gym, Doc.
Yes.
They get, Tuesdays and Thursdays do upper body, and these are the exercises, and they get lower body. When you say business plan, that's what my listeners are going to go to. Oh, well, I'm getting one. They don't call it a business plan. So if that's not what you're talking about, we need to make a better delineation, because I will guarantee that that's what my listeners that have gone to a gym and have a card at the gym with a list of exercises, that's what they think you're talking about. We're going on break. We'll be right back. And when we come back, you can tell us what the difference between that is and what you're talking about.
I have an idea. I'm not even thinking, just...
The cutting edge of conscious radio. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of the Inspired Parenting Radio Show, where every week we bring you empowering information from the diverse fields of conscious parenting, education, neuroscience, consciousness, health, and metaphysics to support you in nurturing the best in your children. So if you're interested in understanding what shapes your children's minds, spirits and hearts, join me every Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and prepare to be inspired.
The number one reason girls drop out of school in sub-Saharan Africa is lack of access to feminine hygiene products. The Pads for Schoolgirls Project, an outreach of Humanity Healing International, is changing this paradigm by setting up sewing programs at schools, teaching girls a vocational skill, while producing the reusable pads that help keep them attending classes. The girls pay it forward by making and giving pad kits to other girls in need. To learn more, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is. Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Greetings, fellow soul travelers. This is Dr. Amelia Kemp with OMTimes Radio. If you've been stressed mentally or emotionally, then join me on Sundays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the From Psychotherapy to Sacred Therapy show, where you'll learn you're not sick, you're sacred. And by aligning with the soul is what makes you whole.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Hello, 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 and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show, challenging everything and challenging everyone here on OMTime Radio, where we change the world one ohm at a time. Today's guest is Dr. Fitness USA, and you can find out more about him at facebook.com/Dr. Fitness USA. So what we want to do is you were using the term, and I just want to remind you that if you have questions or anything, Doc, you can always type me on the side because I've been typing you, so that we make sure that we're on the same page. You talk about having a business plan. I just spent 3 months at the gym, and, they gave me a card with, this is what I did. I did cardio every other day, and every other day, this was the series of exercises I did. And I think that that's what a lot of my listeners are going to think you mean by a business plan. So how is what you're doing different than that?
Okay, before we answer that question specifically, there's something interesting in the fitness industry when you approach whether a male or female. They have this idea, let's say we approach a woman and she says, oh, I do yoga. And then they will discount the word bodybuilding. Bodybuilding or strength training is the #1 preventative medicine right now in the world. The difference between yoga and strength training is that yoga was used as a meditative practice for 80% of the people, and also that it uses different muscle fibers. So there's a distinct difference between yoga and other fitness modalities and strength training, or you can say body design. So answering your question, I would encourage your listeners to, when we're said and done, to actually check out some of the videos on YouTube /Dr. Fitness USA, and to also visit our website, drfitnessusa.com, because it'll take us several reviews for you to do your homework and sit down and actually listen or read or email us, because we do have a free report on what we're talking about today. So I'm going to give you an example because you know this person very well. That's Jerry Foster. What's his website? Okay. So it's Jerry Foster, okay? And he's from CEO Space, and I've met him several times over the years. So he's tall, and he lectures worldwide, and he has he's very concerned about taking care of his body. So it's the same question I had posed to you, Dr. Kevin. I asked him, what exactly are you doing in a gym? And when he described how he's been working out for 20 years, he's got a personal training plan, and he's very happy. My answer to him was that he was committing suicide. So let's fast forward. I create a business plan. And I asked him, well, when you go in the gym, what exercise are you doing for your legs? He said, well, not a lot. And I said, how much weight would you use to leg press if you did go into a gym? And he said, well, that's like about 2 plates. Each plate is 45 pounds, or that's like about 80 pounds in total. I'll conclude that in this third session, he's leg pressing 600 plus pounds. If you go to YouTube and you see the video before and after, you'll see a person that's now been empowered with the body design formula system. You've got to know which muscles you're missing. You've got to know which synergistic muscles you need to develop. You need to know what body parts are out of balance. That means you mentioned that when you go in the gym, some people do upper body today and upper body tomorrow. That doesn't sound like a waltz. It sounds like confusion to me. It means if your legs needed to be downsized, like most women's legs have to be,
have to be, you would actually be bulking them up. So there's a great deal of thought in a balance. So I remember, if I may talk, because we like to talk out of the box, that I approached you at CEO Space and I asked you what you were doing with yourself, and you mentioned that you were with a trainer. My answer to that is, I guess it's not working for you, because that's the truth. What the trainer was doing was giving you frivolous exercise that has nothing to do with giving you the opportunity to redesign your body. So if I may, on the time slot that I have, when you go to the gym, how many times a week do you actually like to work out?
Well, when I was in England, I was going 6 days a week.
Okay. Now, why would you go 6 days a week?
I was going 6 days a week because the gym was right where I was staying.
You only need 3 days a week.
And
your body, the reason is when you're a certain age, you need to only exercise your legs once a week. And so that means you need 4 or 5 days recuperative time in between your workouts. Your cells take 75 hours to repair itself. So if you want to have something that's sustainable, then you work out 1 to 3 times a week. 6 days a week, you'd have to be a youngster wanting to train for a bodybuilding contest. But I understand that when people go and do that frequency, they think they're getting in shape. There's no such thing as getting in shape. That's a myth. You'd have to be in Southern California and be a young stud and get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and live in the gym or have a modeling career. But for when people are getting in a mature level, they need to have a little bit of afterthought, and they need to take better care of how they approach their exercise program. So what would be the first are you actually going to a real gym where they have exercise equipment like with weights?
Yeah, and every other day I was just doing cardio. I was just doing a different kind of cardio, the treadmill, the bicycle,
Okay, well, that sounds reasonable. I'll give you some, what they call in the health industry, some credits. So when you went in, let's say you went in on a Monday or a Sunday and you wanted to exercise your physical body, what would be the first exercise you would do?
Okay, so the first, and the trainer I worked with, he had me on one thing on a program that worked everything out by going through the program once. He was not a divide your body guy. So
that's okay. So the only question I'm asking is what would be the first exercise that you would do when you would go into the gym on your weight day?
So on my weight day, the first thing I did was 10 minutes of cardio to warm the body up, and then I would do the resistance band, a side crab thing, like.
Okay, so if I may stop you there, you have just committed suicide, and it's not to be derogative, but it's telling me that if you took a picture of your body, you would see that it's gone backwards. Now, I'm not saying that you haven't lost weight, but I'm not talking about losing weight. I'm talking about actually changing the muscularity in your upper body. You probably have really great legs. But people, that's the reason I'm talking about this is because people don't understand that there is a script or a specialist like myself, in fact, I'm the only one, that can actually move tissue under the bones and alter your posture in a way that once was thought to be physically impossible. So when you're doing these silly things that you're doing, I have to tell you, they're total nonsense. In 12 minutes, you ought to be leg pressing, unless you have an injury, at least 600 pounds. Because the reason for that is because the body loses a tremendous amount of strength. You have to fill up the gas tank, so to speak, so you can run your car. If you don't send that type of energy that releases massive doses of endorphins and strengthens your body or warms it up so it can perform other exercises at a weight that would be efficient to your body, then the body is going backwards.
Yeah, see, And before I started the program with him, I was pressing about 600 pounds, 550, 600 pounds, because I used to be a dancer. I used to be a model. I've got the legs of like that look like redwood trees.
I told you had good legs. Is that intuitive or not?
Yeah, there you go. So, well, like when he had me do the stretch, I mean, and I'm just sharing what he shared with me, and I'm always open to other people's opinions. He had me do this little thing for like 2 minutes to open up my hip joints, and then he was having me do squats with a ball, so that I was doing.
Okay, so let's stop there. When you do squats with a ball, okay, I have a book out that's called Posture for Power. Okay. I wrote a book on that, or at least Baptiste Grimaud wrote the book on my system, Posture for Power. When I say you're committing suicide, as a grown man, when you sit on a ball, you are now working on an unstable surface.
No, lifting a ball, not sitting on it. But
for a squat, you said you were doing a squat.
Squat, holding a ball that I would lift up over my head.
Dr. Kevin,
when you get a chance, look at the foreword to the book that Dr. Bruce Barton wrote for me, or you can look in the book itself. You can look at the before and after pictures. What you're telling me is so pseudocidal, I can't even tell you. You might even want to listen to Jerry Foster's tapes. It applies to everybody that's listening to this channel. You're not taking the power and the opportunity to be a better person. All these things that you're talking about, that's suicide. No grown man would lift a ball over their head. No grown man would do a stretch band elastic. If I have to loosen up my muscles, so to speak.
Music's coming. When I'm right back. No.
Your conscious lifestyle on steroids. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM.
Matt Connerton here. Join Jen Coffey and I twice a week for Matt Connerton Unleashed, a political talk show that's a little different than what you're used to. No liberal or conservative agenda here, just an honest dialogue about truth and how things really work in the world of politics. Matt Connerton Unleashed, every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio.
What if business could be fun? What if business is the adventure of living? What are you choosing? Where do you do business that makes it easier, more fun, or more joyful for you? We'd love to see where you do business. Connect with us on Instagram at Joy of Business or Twitter at Joy of Business, and share your pictures with hashtags BusinessDoneWhere and Joy of Business. Let's change the world with business. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hi, this is Angela Levesque, host of Entanglement Radio. Join me Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern for inspiring conversations with visionaries in spiritual science and conscious healing. Entanglement Radio, Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Transcendent talk for the conscious mind.
Conscious media for conscious minds. OMTimes.
Hello, and welcome back to the Dr. Kevin Show, challenging everything and everyone here on OMTimes Radio, changing the world one Om at a time. Today's guest, Dr. Fitness USA, has a body design formula strength training system that is known to create immediate emotional stability without drugs by increasing an individual's strength by 20 to 50% in 20 minutes and correcting muscular imbalances once thought to be impossible. The added benefit, of course, are the body you always dreamed of having, but you don't know if you can achieve it. But even more than that, increased physical and emotional strength. strengthening of the nervous system, which controls brain functioning by sending new pathways of oxygen to the brain, stimulating higher levels of creativity, and hence opening up new opportunities for growth. You can find out more about Dr. Fitness USA at facebook.com/Dr. Fitness USA, or at his website, drfitnessusa.com. He also is on Twitter. What other social media can we find you on?
We're on all the social media.
And then
what's great is if people can go and to youtube.com/Dr. Fitness USA. There's at least 75 videos from chiropractors to acupuncturists to world-class leaders. They can spend some time listening to the conversation and see if they get turned on auditorially or what I'm talking about makes sense. And if they sign up, there's fabulous training tips that we post. And it's with me actually giving the tip of how to do an exercise that can be either empowering or transfer the energy to the wrong set of muscles.
Okay.
And also I wanted to add that in the body design system, it actually has, I don't base it on performance like a personal training. It's based on quieting of the mind. And it's because they have the blueprint that opens up the combination to the lock every single time. So they can travel, they can come back 3 weeks, a month later. The program will always be working with them. And we teach people, men or women, not to do anything that feels uncomfortable, which trainers, I have to say, love when you are uncomfortable because it means you'll be back to be more tortured. It amazes me that I have people that I know, I won't say they're friends, they own gyms and they actually create exercise that people want to throw up. And you've probably seen some of them like walking lunges or flipping a tire over. And people actually come back for more torture. They don't really look for the good stuff. And that's partly because of physical ignorance or ego, especially on a man's side. Because working out for a man is a feminine attribute. Anytime a man works out, that's a feminine attribute, taking care of his body. It's his ego that overrides the total amount of things that he does in an environment like a gym. So the body design formula puts a stop to that nonsense. And for women, we get women out of their intellectual mind and back into their body where they can find their chakra zone, they can find their comfort level, they can find their safety and their resting space. Because women who stay in their intellectual mind, men love smart women, but the payoff is when women stay in their intellectual mind 24 hours a day, they ruin their immune system or weaken it. So if you want a loving woman in your life, send her to the gym on a body design formula system.
Well, now, so there's a few different questions I want to ask. So the first thing is, and I'm all about the body, mind, spirit connection. Obviously, the more you have a relationship with your body and the better that relationship is, the happier you and your body will be. So, having something that integrates that spiritual side, the emotional side, that recognizes the effect of exercise on body chemistry, that it can affect moods and it can stabilize. I think that's great. That's a much more holistic, a much more encompassing approach than what you're going to find at the traditional gym. The business plan, though, I'm gonna put this out there, and I want my listeners to understand it better. Can you tell me what a business plan looks like? I feel like that question somehow keeps on getting lost, and we only have a couple of minutes left. And I'd really like to hear if I got a business plan from you, what is that going to look like that's going to be different than what I got from my personal trainer?
Well, for one thing, you're going to have a piece of paper that's going to outline every single exercise that you're going to be doing that day. That's going to address your body in a way that you didn't know was possible, because every exercise has an attachment to a thought or emotion or to an outcome. It's going to say how many times you have to do that exercise. It's going to show you the weights. It's going to give you a recipe for that particular exercise, what it includes and how many times you have to do it and what the weight scale is. Also, if you flip it over the page, it'll have a picture of that very exercise. That the importance of the picture is that they've actually been coached in a physical gym with myself or somebody that I assigned to teach them the program, and they would have had a real life experience of what it's like to train properly. In other words, we show them how conventionally they do an exercise, and then we show them 7 different modifications of how they ought to be doing the exercise. And so then if you ask the person or give them a choice, which way would you like to do the exercise? The general way or your new way? And of course they want the new way, because now the brain-muscle connection is kicking in, and it's the first time in their life that they start to get a sensation that their body is being connected in the exercise that they're doing. So the exercise in the back of the paper is probably a videotape of a segment of how I showed them how to do the exercise, but it's a recall memory. So if we create a program, which we do worldwide, a person would just have to call me and I would say, remember the picture or remember like this, and they go, oh, I remember how to do it. So it's bulletproof. And then at the end of the month, when they send me back this piece of paper and also a calendar with how frequency they worked out, with the amount of weights that they're doing, I can move the weights around like a chessboard so that I can keep moving them up or enhancing the educational portion of where they need to be in their exercise program through time and space. And it's all quantifiable and all verifiable. So if I fast forward, a woman comes in to see me, and I ask her, where have you been working out? And they say, well, I've been working with this trainer for 9 months. And I can immediately say factually, because I do investigations of gyms as part of my homework, I can see what gym would work for the person. I'll tell her that you just wasted 9 months of your time, and she'll verify it. That's saying that none of the machines actually fit her body. So I incorporate her into a wonderful gym called Coast Fitness. It's in South Bay. It's an environment that's way beyond what you would find in a regular gym. And in 20 minutes, this woman who has never lifted more than 3 pounds with her trainer is leg pressing 435 pounds. How do you explain that? So she's learning at a very high level. So when she's left alone or she goes solo, it only takes 3 sessions times 3 hours each teaching session. That's 9 hours in total to have a person actually going back into their gym working without the trainer and making progress. So how is that possible? What I would do is, for safety, I would back it down to like 300 or 325, which would be super comfortable for her, of course, because if she can do 435 with me, then she'll certainly be safe at 325. And so people, what happens when women lift weights like that, their mind automatically goes quiet. And they say, oh, wow, that feels really, really good. And they go really, really quiet. And they won't get bulky muscles because I'm a designer. So the exercises that follow are in a specific sequence to prevent the muscle from being oversized or overdeveloped.
In a case like Batista Grammode, who's the best flamingo dancer in the world, she didn't have any shoulder exercises like shoulder presses. She needed to have long, lean arms. So I was very careful not to include that in her program. I already second-guessed that they would grow naturally. So how do people like Peter Nygaard, the billionaire, fly all the way across the world to come and have a conversation with me? I've worked with Linda Gray, Sally Field. I've worked with really incredible people who want to have a sustainable program where they're in control. We don't give the control away to the trainer where the trainer says, oh, this is my trainer's great. Now, in training Jerry Foster, I use a sensational person like Eugene Foster, which is interesting because she's a real marriage family therapist. Now, why is that important? Because she witnessed working with Jerry that the exercises that that Jerry were doing were part of her sequence of programming. And she noticed that personal trainers give people other people's programs, but they don't follow the exercises themselves. And so in that meaning is she's able to know ahead of time that Jerry Foster is training properly.
We're closing down. Dr. Fitness USA, Facebook.com/Dr. Fitness USA or drfitnessusa.com. We'll talk to you next week right here on the Dr. Kevin